Yes, welcome, all you fine, lovely people, ladies, gentlemen, anything in between, anything outside of those two. It's all good. I love you all. It's a very special bonus episode of Velvet Owl Watches Movies so you don't have to. Because today, if you're listening to it on the day it drops, is Election Day. And I hope you went out and voted. If not, there hopefully is still time for you to go vote. Of course, you could be listening to this like 3 weeks later. But, I've always wanted to write in a candidate, but it's never been an option when I go vote. So is it like a certain way you have to vote? Like if you're doing mail-in voting, or is it like only certain counties? Because I voted in several different counties, and well, not counties, but just different polling places. Because I've lived in different places in the Western New York area, and none of them I've ever had the option to vote, to write in a vote. Because if I could, I would write in Linda Lovelace. Maybe. Because today's movie is Linda Lovelace for President. And I don't know, depending on this movie, it may make me want to, write in Linda Lovelace. Who knows? I don't know if this is like, if she really ran for president, or this was just fictional and someone thought it'd be fucking hilarious if we had Linda Lovelace run for president. And for those of you who might be younger and don't know Linda Lovelace, she is a famous porn star. She did the classic Deep Throat, or everyone says it's a classic. I actually never watched Deep Throat. So yeah, I guess I don't care all that much. So I don't know much about her. I didn't see the movie about her life. All I know is she did Deep Throat, and then she fucked a dog in some video. And so I don't know if running for president was before or after fucking the dog. I imagine at very least it has to be after Deep Throat, because who else would know who she is if she hadn't done Deep Throat yet? So I'm going to find out what her campaign issues are. Where does she stand on sanitation and fixing the roads? And as I guess I should have expected, this movie passes the Velvet Owl test with flying colors, as we get in the first 30 seconds, full frontal. And this movie's from the 70s, so full frontal means bush. Actually, I think even nowadays, like, very rarely do you see, like, full frontal and the woman's shaved. Maybe because it just kind of comes off odd, so they make the woman wear, like, a merkin wig if she's not all natural. But we got a naked woman standing in front of a flag, wearing a construction hat and a construction belt. So I don't think this is Linda Lovelace, but this is about, this campaign is reaching the common people, I guess. And we get a warning straight off that this film is intended to offend everyone. So, between the warning and the naked woman, I think they're going to weed out anyone who might be offended. Okay, there's a lot for me to digest already. And we're still only like a minute into this film. Because they're playing the Glory, Glory, Hallelujah song, while the narrator is talking about like the history of something, I guess, of America. There's just a lot of words thrown at me, and just all these weird shots of like giant crowds of like pioneers and frontiersmen, and some riot with, it looks like, Muslims for some reason that doesn't look like it's taking place in America. And all these shots of like just large crowds, so weird in a post-COVID world, because it's like, oh my god, so many people packed in like that, just the germs. And then we get a shot of like some sort of monster crawling out of a lake, because I don't know, I guess that's America. And then we got this guy who's part of the Polish leaders of something, and his shirt says Poland, but it's spelled with a U instead of an A. Get it? Because Polish people are stupid. And he's talking about how we need a new party to represent the 48 states of... Wait, no. He said 46 states of America. So, I don't know. I don't know if the idea is that he's stupid, or if is this at a time before we got to 50 states? I don't know. I don't remember at what point like we said Hawaii and Alaska, sure. You're not actually inside the country, but we'll let you be part of the country. And that still wouldn't account for two other states. So I guess he's just an idiot. And then I guess Smokey the Bear comes out and lights a cigarette. And then there's a group of KKK members, and one of them lifts up his hood, and he's a black guy. Just, wow, this is a wacky film. So this place that everyone's gathered at, it's kind of like fucking like the original Woodstock stock. It's just kind of like this farm field, and just all these tents are set up, and a virgin sacrifice happens, which I'm pretty sure happened at the original Woodstock as well. And there's a tent for people who think suicide is fun. No, really, suicide for fun, and people are killing themselves in there. And just all sorts of people. And there's a reporter who tells us this is a political convention that's trying to raise like voter awareness because voter apathy is an all-time high. So this is a pointed political satire, this film, in my opinion, because it's got its thumb on the hot button press issues. Yeah, exactly what I said, but it's true. Like, there is a lot of voter apathy, and you know, at this time, like in 2022, our last presidential election, which was one of like the biggest like attended elections, at least in like recent history, and that still was like only like 50% of eligible voters came out to vote. And you know, this is including like mail-in voting now, and you still can't get people to fucking vote. And it's because we're stuck in this two-party system. So I agree with this film in that we need a viable third-party system. And, you know, if it's the Polish people or the virgin sacrifice people, I'm ready for a third party. This is going to be a pretty hard movie to summarize because it's one of those movies that feels the need to shove like 5 jokes into every minute of the film, which can be just really fucking like hard to follow. And I guess the idea is, you know, if we throw like 500 jokes into this film, at least 2 of them will land. Which, I mean, not a bad theory. But anyhow, they're whatever the group is that decides on who's going to be the candidate, they're doing this shit like Pope style. So like they have like the black smoke to let you know that this ballot they haven't chosen anyone. Which that's how the Pope thing was, right? It's black smoke until like they finally decide, and then you get the white smoke. And right now, Wolfman Jack is in the lead with 2 votes. So, but they're gonna try again to see if they can get a candidate. So we got to look at the people who are trying to decide on the candidate. And there's a sheik or sultan. I'm not sure which one he is, but he has a harem of women. Well, 2, but that's enough for a harem, I guess. In my opinion, yeah, sure. It's a harem. And there's a stereotypical, like, black jive guy talking about funky chickens and stuff and jive turkeys. I like him. And there's, I guess, a feminist girl and the stereotypical Chinaman who, yeah, I know it's racist for me to say Chinaman, but I'm trying to give you the image of it's not a Chinese person. I think he's a white guy playing Chinese. And he's just kind of looks like the old, like, working on the railroad Chinese person. And then there's a guy, stereotypical, because everyone on this board is stereotypical, just complete flaming. And a Nazi. Not really sure why there's a Nazi, but sure. And they're all like arguing over like, you know, who do we get? And one of the harem girls says that's a joke. Well, it looks like I think the only person that everyone could agree on is Linda Lovelace. And everyone's like, yeah, Linda Lovelace, that's not a bad idea. She knows how to use her head. Is that a rim shot? I don't know how to do a rim shot. Rim shot. Because she knows how to use her head. Yeah. Now, everyone on the campgrounds has pretty much just gotten into a fight now because they're all mad and angry because this thing has been taking like hundreds of days. So, yeah, I guess the better part of a year. So, yeah, no wonder they're angry if they've been on the campgrounds that whole time. Like, Woodstock 99 went to shit after like 3 days. So imagine if that festival went on for like 100 days. But then there's the white smoke, and everyone's excited to find out who is the nominee. And they read off the guy who's set to read off the nominee reads the name, and it is Linda Lovelace. And he has to double check to make sure. Linda Lovelace? Yes, it's Linda Lovelace. And everyone's excited. Everyone is happy that Linda Lovelace is the nominee. So now we gotta hope that, she accepts the nomination. Because what if she's like, fuck this, I don't want to run for president? Then you gotta do this shit all over again and decide on a new... Like, I would think, like, you'd have a list of people who want to run for president, and you choose from that, like... But apparently they just decided first, like, who do we think would be good to run? Well, I mean, I guess that's how Wolfman Jack got 2 votes in the last vote. Like, they're like, yeah, let's run Wolfman Jack. Linda Lovelace / Wolfman Jack ticket. Now that is what we should go with. Well, it looks like Linda Lovelace has accepted, and she holds a, like, townhouse meeting or whatever you call those, but they're, like, on the field near a football stadium or something, because we can see it clearly in the background. And she's taking questions from people. And all the questions are about oral sex. Because Linda Lovelace, she's the one with the deep throat. So, of course, all the questions are going to be about oral sex. Which I imagine isn't far from the truth. Like, if she did run for president, it's all anyone would be asking about. No one would ask about her policies. Like, what's she going to do to get unemployment down, get inflation under control. This is the late 70s, so I think, inflation was a big issue then again as well. And so just, I want to know how she's going to make the country better. How is she going to get gas prices under control? But no, everyone just wants to know about how to give head. And don't get me wrong, that is an important subject that should be also addressed. I just want to know on other policies as well. Linda goes into the hotel room. She's ambushed by the group that decided that she should be, like, the nominee. So apparently she hasn't accepted yet. So I have no fucking clue what that meeting with that they would go, what that was all about. I guess she was just talking to fans or something. So now, okay. Now I understand why all the questions were about oral sex and nothing about policies. Because it wasn't an open forum on her running for president. It was an open forum for... it feels like there should just be an easy joke there. So, it's so easy I can't think of it. But, she's kind of, like, unsure, like, about running for president. Is she qualified? But they assure that, half the voters are women and the other half are idiots. And yeah, I think that's about right. So, and everyone wants to get behind her. Wah, wah. So, and then the priest, he gets a megaphone and hides and pretends to be the voice of God to tell her to run. And she says, okay, but first I have to ask my uncle, who's at the old folks' home. And her uncle turns out to be Uncle Sam! Like, yeah, with the beard and everything. And he's just an old crotchety man. But he tells her that she should run for president. Because she has great breasts. And I can't argue with logic like that. Vote for the candidate with the best tits. It's something, I guess. And Uncle Sam suggests to them that they should name their party the Upright Party, because he can't get it upright. It's best not to think too much into these things. I think I forgot to mention the forest fire that happened, which apparently Smokey the Bear, he flicked a cigarette and it set a forest fire, and he was kind of upset that, it's gonna be blamed on him. It was his fault. But anyhow, now that was earlier in the film, and I don't know how I forgot about it till just now, but I'm glad I did. So Linda's trying to film a political commercial, and she's sitting in a forest, and that's probably what set me into remembering it, because she's in the forest now holding a puppy and trying to talk about how she's going to bring America to back to the good old days. But the commercial keeps getting interrupted. First by a guy who wants to pee on a tree, then by some Japanese tourists, then by a motorcycle gang, and finally by a plane that crashed. But, she thinks it's a bad omen, but her political manager thinks it's a good omen because they're going to set the world on fire. Or the nation on fire. They're setting something on fire. So her campaign tour schedule is set, and this, what do I want? The route she's taking across America happens to be shaped like a penis. Ha 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 ha. I'm gonna have to deal with a lot of these bad jokes. I've already dealt with so many of them. My humor box is like broken. Like, these are just so, like, I don't know. Did Al Goldstein write this movie? This seems like something out of Screw Magazine. I've never read Screw Magazine, so I don't know what their kind of jokes are. But these are pretty bad. And the campaign bus is basically the fucking bang bus. For some reason, there's cheerleaders and there are fucking guys in the back of the bus. I don't know. It's the precursor to the bang bus. And then they reach the town, and there's no one around except for this dirty homeless guy. Dirty old man, as Linda calls him. But she means it in a nice way, but he's a dirty old man, yeah. And we get lots of those jokes. And he's basically W.C. Fields, saying like, oh, my chickadee, and that's about as much as I know about W.C. Fields. He says my chickadee a lot. I don't think I've ever actually watched anything with W.C. Fields in it. So I don't know what he's like at all, but I don't know. He must have been funny. He was very popular for a while. A good long while. He's a legend. So he tells her that, everyone's over at the park. Meanwhile, he's got a mirror on his cane that he uses to look up her skirt. And she's not wearing underwear. Full beaver shot. Now, it's got me wondering, was it Linda Lovelace's beaver? Because it's got me thinking of, Molly Ringwald in the Breakfast Club, and she used a crotch stubble. Did Linda Lovelace use a crotch stubble? Which would seem kind of weird, though, wouldn't it? Because it's like, you're Linda Lovelace. You were in Deep Throat. Like, you're gonna, be hesitant to just flash your crotch on screen? Maybe. I don't know. After Tracy Lords got out of porn, she didn't want to show her tits ever again on film. And, I don't blame her. I don't blame for anyone who decides they don't want to show their tits on film, despite of what they might have done previously in their career. Over at the park, a little softball game is being played by Linda's campaign team. And one of them hits a ball, it goes through a window, and hits a guy that's fucking his wife. And just so perfectly in his ass to kind of give him some extra thrust. And his wife's like, oh, Harold, you're fucking like someone with 3 balls. Yeah, that's the level of humor in this film. And then there's a stereotypical Southern gentleman with the big 10-gallon hat and a mustache and a cigar, and he's giving a speech and says all sorts of racist shit that even if I could remember all of it or any of it, I will not repeat. Because it is just, Oh boy. And a Nazi trips a nun. I exactly like this film has just like all these like kind of random spots of like it's like just trying to throw like all these jokes at you just in rapid succession, and none of them are good, really. But then Linda sees this very handsome gentleman, and he's like, "Let's fuck." Not in those words. Like he's a little more eloquent about it. And he's like, "Won't you come?" And she's like, "I hope so." Wah, wah. And so they go underneath where the Southern gentleman guy is giving his racist speech. At least I think they're under that platform. And they fuck, and she shows her boobs. So I was wondering, like, will she get naked? Because she is Linda Lovelace. And I think this is still close enough to Deep Throat that she would be willing to get naked, right? Well, she did. God bless you, Linda Lovelace. Which, you go get naked and I will vote for you. You know what? The next election, I am voting for the candidate that's willing to go naked. And and as the guy comes, we get some stock footage of a submarine shooting missiles and an atomic bomb going off. Cause, he's coming and that's like explosion. And I guess he was the one that was being celebrated with the speech and the whole something. I don't know what's going on. But apparently he had like 15 gold medals that I wasn't really paying attention to because I was too busy on the fact that Linda Lovelace was naked. And that was a glorious sight. And then he introduces everyone that Linda Lovelace is going to do a speech. Meanwhile, in the audience, a black woman comes and sits down and everyone gets up and leaves. Fucking racist town. So this guy, appropriately by the name of BS, because this movie is so fucking subtle, calls the heads of the political parties. They don't tell us, but yeah, they gotta be the heads of the Democrat and Republican Party, and they're making all sorts of deals on what each of their candidates can and can't say about the other, and they're like, okay, we won't mention yours had a nose job if you don't mention ours has 6 toes. And we won't mention your sister's a lesbian if you don't mention our mother's a prostitute. No, seriously, those were like the deals they made. But, BS tells them like, we're in trouble because Linda Lovelace, she's running and she is fucking popular everywhere we go. So they decide, let's call the assassin to take her out. And they have to leave a message because the assassin is not in. And they get his answering machine. Now, the campaign bus stops at one of those drive-in restaurants, which I don't think they have anymore. But where the waitresses are all on roller skates and bring out the food. And everyone gives like their super like stereotypical order, but with a side of fries. So like the black guy is like ordering soul food with a side of fries. And the priest orders like bread, like the body of Christ with a side of fries. And the Asian guy orders wonton soup and a side of flies. And she says, fries? Not fries, flies! So, I guess because Asian people eat flies, or... I guess really just because they wanted to make the RL trouble with pronunciation, and my cat just attacked me, which is more exciting than this film. But then off the bus comes like some girl on roller skates with a helmet, and a roller derby match just breaks out because all the waitresses on roller skates start chasing after her. And yeah. So the campaign bus is driving along, and there's just all sorts of bad jokes that aren't worth repeating. And thankfully, I've already forgotten most of them. I'd hate for my brain cells to like be occupied with these things. But then the bus breaks down and they have to make a sudden pit stop. And I think the bus driver might be Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees. And it's actually kind of apropos because this does have a feel of like the Monkees, but just dumber and dirtier. So maybe that's what they were going for, like the counterculture revolution of the monkeys. It was a damn good show. Like it seriously was. You know, instead of watching Linda Lovelace for president, I urge you to go watch The Monkees and watch the movie Head, starring the Monkees. It is fantastic. It is so just out of your mind. Like, what the fuck is this? It is that great. So the bus is broken down, and so Linda and the crew of her platform. Fuck, what do you call like the entourage for like a political candidate? So whatever, they're in this town of like inbred hillbillies. Can you call them hillbillies? Are they sons of the soil yet? Simpsons reference if you didn't get it. So she's gonna try to win over these sons of the soil. Now the priest accidentally drowns this woman in a lake as he was trying to baptize her, but he's not bothered. And why should he? She's going to a better place now. And then Linda decides she's gonna go take a shower in the little waterfall. Is it still considered a waterfall when it just kind of trickles? There's still waterfalls, right? It counts. It's a waterfall. It's a trickle waterfall. And she goes full frontal. Oh, bless you, my sweet child, for doing full frontal. That makes the movie like A-okay in my book. And then there's this guy who's kind of like a sort of wannabe Tarzan up in the tree watching her, and he's got a monkey next to her. And I commend the movie for not going for the obvious joke and have him spank the monkey while watching her. And so he comes down and he puts on his smoothest moves, which apparently with this movie, you don't really need any moves to fuck Linda Lovelace. You just kind of got to go up and say, I'd like to fuck you. So that's basically what he does. And that's basically what the other guy did. But both of them are like good looking men, so I guess that on top. Like you need to be good looking, I think. I don't know. Ugly guys, try it out. Go back in time first, though. I don't think it would work these days to just go up to Linda Lovelace and be like, I want to fuck you. And, really, you shouldn't try. So I don't know if it'll work or not, but don't try. I am not going to encourage people to just go up to Linda Lovelace these days and say, I want to fuck you. And so they fuck while the monkey watches. Because they are kinky. Oh, yeah. The monkey is a cuck. So would the monkey be a cuck in this situation? He's watching like the Jungle Boy fuck another woman. So that's kind of like a cuck situation. Well, I guess if the monkey fucks Jungle Boy normally, then yeah, it'd be a cuck situation. But the Nazi guy is running around everywhere spray painting Adolf loves Ava everywhere. And he sprays it on the back of Jungle Boy. Some more racist stuff with the Asian guy, and he accidentally kills someone, and everyone's chasing them off. But luckily, the campaign buses are now fixed and ready to go, and they get run out of town by all the angry sons of the soil. And Linda's riding on the back of a horse with Jungle Boy, and he gets knocked off by a tree branch. Yeah, I don't know. I give up trying to figure out any sort of logic in this film. Now we get a political ad for Linda's campaign, and she's running towards the screen while the narrator says, Linda is coming. Wah wah. Linda is coming. Wah wah. You'll want to get behind her. Wah wah. It's not really making the wah-wah sounds. I'm just pointing out how bad these puns are. And then she'll go down in history. And she'll blow your mind. And I forget what other like bad puns they went with. But she's running with or at least the ad is paid for by the party to decriminalize cocksucking. And so I know now what party I'm registering with. Because cocksucking definitely should be decriminalized. Was it criminalized? Probably in like Texas or something. Now, the campaign manager has gathered everyone around and is telling them that they pretty much just have to end the campaign now because they're out of money and they can't continue. And that is part of why third parties never really like gather any traction is because they just don't have the money to be campaigning the way like the big boys do. And so Linda calls Uncle Sam to try to figure out what can they do. And he says, just sell them a piece of America. Give them a piece. Wah, wah. And it'll help you get the money up. It'll help you get it up. Oh boy. I really can't like run down the amount of bad like innuendo jokes that are going on in here. And so they decide that's what they're gonna do. And somehow this leads into goose stepping. Yeah, I'm not gonna think too much about how it got to that point, but they're goose stepping. And I mean, like, it's an obvious joke. Remember, there's a Nazi among their party. But in probably like a truly clever joke, in my opinion. So they've got these jars of something that is the piece of America, and it says like piece of America on the jar, and underneath, made in Taiwan. Now that is fucking funny. So they go out to collect the money and do some campaigning, and the Asian guy has become kind of a pimp, and he's pimping out some Asian girls as prostitutes. And with two, you get egg roll. Like, oh my God. Just, I don't know. I don't mind that this movie is making so many racist jokes. They're just very lazy racist jokes. And the black guy has dressed up like a pimp because he's a black guy and he's a pimp. And he goes into a pool hall and beats everyone at pool all at once. So kind of like, like those movies where kids playing chess and he's brilliant and he's playing like 15 games of chess at once. That's what this guy is doing with pool. And Scatman Crothers is one of the people who just get fleeced at the pool game. So I don't know. Just kind of a weird cameo, I guess, for him, but good for him. Good for him. And then, they all gather up and they're piling up their money, see how much everyone's like gathered together. Linda won't say how she got her money, but Benjamin Franklin has a smile on his face. Yeah, she fucking blew Benjamin Franklin. And good for her. You use whatever skills you can to raise money. Sex work is work. And all in total, they've raised $8 million. And this is $8 million in 1976 money, which, if my math is correct, is equal to like $5 billion today. Obviously, my math is not correct whatsoever, but it's a lot more than 8 million. BS, the evil informant guy, he calls up the head of the two parties, and he's telling them like, oh no, we're in trouble because Linda Lovelace, she's just gaining in the polls and everyone loves her and they're donating all this money. We're going to lose the election. And then he's talking to both of the guys from both parties. So, just, I think another pointed political satire joke that they might have gotten by accident. But yeah, because it doesn't matter. Republicans and Democrats, it doesn't really matter which one wins. It's all the same. And so they decide they have to get a hold of the assassinator. And they do get a hold of him. And he's in the bathtub taking a bubble bath with a big titty topless woman. The way any of us would take a bath if we can. If we have the choice, take a bath by yourself or take a bath with a big titty topless woman, I'd say maybe at least 99% of people would choose the second option, the big titty topless woman. That's just my guess. But he accepts the assignment to kill Linda Lovelace. Now, the assassinator shows up at the hotel that Linda Lovelace is staying at, and he goes to the desk clerk and asks him what room is she staying in. And he tells her, because, I don't know, this must be the days before, like, stalker laws, Like, oh, yeah, I'll just tell you where she is. She's famous and she's running for president. Sure. There's no way you can be having bad intentions here. Which is true, like, the one girl from Poltergeist, not the little girl, but the older sister, like, she had a stalker, and the stalker went to the DMV and asked for her address, and they gave it to her, because there just was really no laws against it back then. And so, yeah, she got killed. But fortunately, Assassinator gets on the elevator and he's repeating to himself the room number. But then there's this couple on the elevator and they're talking about which plane to catch and the times and the number of the plane. And they go through all this and it just confuses the Assassinator and he doesn't quite remember which room number is Linda's. So the Assassinator goes to the room he thinks it is and he, like, sneaks in using, like, the credit card trick to... Because remember, these are, like, the old days before, like, key cards. So he uses the old credit card trick to break the lock. And inside, it's the Nazi guy who's getting whipped because he's into S&M. Because that's a big Nazi thing, right? Is it real, or is that just, like, Nazi exploitation just really ran with that idea of, like, Ilsa She-Wolf, and everyone just thinks Nazis are very into S&M? I don't know. But then he just keeps going through room after room, and the black guy's raping a girl, but when he comes back, when Assassinator comes back later and accidentally gets into that room again, the white girl's raping him and raping the black guy. So I guess turnabout's fair play. And Mickey Dolenz is with a completely naked woman. Some more full frontal, oh yes, I love you movie. But he doesn't realize that she wants to fuck. He's too busy playing with his little toy cars. Until he realizes, because she says, don't you want to drive something with 2 steering wheels? And he's like, 2 steering wheels? What kind of vehicle has 2 steering wheels? And then he looks at her boobs and he's like, what? So hopefully he got the hint at that point and did a little driving, if you know what I mean. Little playing with his stick shift, if you know what I mean. So Assassinator is, like, ready to, like, give up, but then he passes Linda Lovelace in the hall and he sees her and she's so pretty in her dress that he's like, and he can barely speak and he's about to walk away when he realizes, wait a minute, that's Linda Lovelace. That's the girl that I'm sent here to kill. So he follows her and he's peeking through the peek hole, I guess. I don't know if he's actually peeking through, but we see Linda Lovelace take her clothes off. Again, I love you movie. But she doesn't do full frontal this time. She doesn't go full. She keeps her panties on. She's just topless. And she gets on the phone and she calls Harold. I'm not sure who Harold is. I don't know if we met Harold at some point earlier in the film. I don't care. Why can't I be Harold? And so she hangs up the phone because I'm guessing it's a booty call. And the Assassinator tries to break into the door and she's thinking, oh, Harold came very quickly. Wah, wah. The campaign bus drives by and sees a church. So they're like, hey, let's go check out the church. Mostly the priest dude wants to go. So they stop in. The Asian guy is left to wash the bus because he's Asian. Cleaning buses is what he does, right? And one elderly lady goes off to the woods because she's hungry. And I don't know, maybe she's looking for, like, squirrel meat or something. When suddenly a lumberjack comes up behind her and says he's hungry and looks to bite her. I don't know if he's going to fully eat her. Is he a cannibal lumberjack? Be kind of cool. Cannibal lumberjack. Add that to the list of movie ideas. For when I make my movie, it's just going to be chock full of insane stuff. So they go inside the church. It's a tent revival type church. And there's these white girls doing a sort of disco version of Let My People Go, which I feel is offensive on so many levels. Now, it's a birthday party for the Nazi, because, just because he's a Nazi doesn't mean he can't celebrate his birthday. Even though apparently he doesn't really like birthdays because he gets really mad and smashes the birthday cake because he hates birthdays, but more importantly, he hates himself. He really does. He's like, I hate me, but with a German accent. And, I think that might be the root of why he's a Nazi, is that he hates himself. So the assassinator views this as, it's the perfect opportunity to take out Linda Lovelace. So he attacks a bellhop, who's a little person. He's a dwarf, right? That's the proper term. I know the M word is not appropriate anymore. So I think it's either dwarf or little person. I don't know which one he quite falls under because I do think they are separate designations. But the point is he's very, very short in stature. And the assassinator is pretty tall. And somehow he attacks the bellhop and takes his clothes, and the clothes fit. Missed opportunity for a gag, guys, there. He should have been wearing the short man's bellhop outfit. That would have been fucking hilarious. You missed a chance to make me laugh. So show me some more titties to make up for it. I'm sure the film will. So his plan is he's got the glasses of champagne that he's going to hand everyone. Or wine. I think it's actually wine. And not in a champagne only comes from that certain part of France, otherwise it's sparkling wine. No, it's red, so it's got to be wine. It can't be champagne. So his plan is he's going to put poison in Linda's cup to kill her. But unfortunately, while he's kind of celebrating this plan and holding the bottle of poison up to the camera so we know his plan, another bellhop comes by, bumps into the cart, moves it. So now the glasses are out of order. So he doesn't know which glass is the poison one. Now, I'm not a professional assassin, but my move there would be just put poison in all the glasses. And, one of them will kill her. I mean, the entire party will be killed. But, does that really matter that you kill everyone else? I mean, what do you care? You're an assassin. You're already a horrible person because you kill people. So, but he passes out the drinks and he takes one for himself. And yes, you can see where this is going. He picked the poison glass for himself. Whoopsie! When Linda opens the door, it knocks out the assassinator and she never sees him. And then we cut to the next day. So we don't know if Harold got there and fucked her, which I'm assuming she wanted Harold to fuck her. Why else would she, strip down to her panties and call Harold? Maybe Harold was delivering a pizza. I get it's possible. It was his tip. Was seeing some boobs. It's it's very possible, in my opinion. So the caravan is having a parade, and the assassinator goes up into the watchtower. I don't know if it's a watchtower. It's a very high building, and he's got his sniper's rifle ready. And as the car that Linda is riding in, JFK style, is coming by, and he's about to shoot her, but then his gun falls apart. Man, Assassinator's not a very good assassin. I think the Washington bigwigs should get their money back. Looks like the elderly lady and the lumberjack just fucked. No eating. No cannibals there. And the preacher, he's doing his preaching. Then he sees Linda Lovelace in the front row. And he starts picturing her naked. More full frontal nudity from Linda. God bless you, film. And then I'm not sure if this is just completely a dream sequence in his head or this actually happens, but he and Linda get naked and fuck Adam and Eve style. And for all the ladies, this preacher, he shows full frontal. His wang is just flapping in the wind. Aw, yeah. See, I'm not sexist because I give the aw yeahs to male nudity as well. And so He then starts singing "I've Got the Whole World in My Hands" while he's grabbing Linda's ass. Um, I guess her ass is the whole world. I I would sing too if I had Linda Lovelace's ass in my hands. I'm not gonna lie. And so as he sings, this suddenly turns into like a fake KTEL commercial for like the greatest Bible hits ever. And then we get shots of like lions eating people and, well, not people, just I think other animals and people being crucified. And I don't know. But this is where they run and Preacher's huge wang just flaps in the wind. But also full frontal from Linda. I love this film. Now we're back on the campaign bus, which again turns into the bang bus as one of the girls' cheerleaders gets naked and goes bang some guys at the back of the bus. You know, Bill Clinton would have loved this kind of campaign bus, wouldn't he? And Donald Trump. You know, I'm gonna go with the both sides are evil. Yeah, both sides would have just killed to have this bang bus be their campaign bus. And everyone's singing "Row, row, row your boat." Which, isn't it kind of weird that at some point in history someone wrote that song? Like, it didn't just like magically appear out of nowhere. Someone wrote "Row, row, row your boat." And it boggles my mind that that happened. Someone was like, yes, this is a song. This is the song for the people. But the assassinator, who's still alive, the poison didn't quite do him in. Or maybe he got medical attention quick enough that he didn't die. He set some dynamite on the bridge that the campaign bus is going to be passing by. And he's going to blow them up. But as the bus drives and he pushes down the plunger, nothing goes off. It's a dud. And then, yes, I bet you see where it's going. Get the old Wile E. Coyote gag, and he goes to check on the dynamite, and kaboom! It doesn't kill him, just rips his clothes, because, you know, it's the old, you know, Looney Tunes gag. So, if it's any consolation, Assassinator, your methods wouldn't have killed Linda Lovelace anyhow. So, you know, don't feel so bad that it didn't go off. Selection night, and the results are in. They've counted the votes. And the winner is Linda Lovelace. She got 68% of the vote. 68%. I guess the electorate owes her one. Or maybe the filmmakers just thought, like, giving her 69% of the vote would have just been too obvious of a joke. Which, I don't know. Who are you, film directors, and what did you do with the makers that were making the rest of this film to avoid doing such a cheap joke? So the news reporters go visit the losers, and they're going to kill themselves from the big parties because, you know, they lost. Bunch of losers. And one lucky reporter gets to go visit the Linda Lovelace campaign, and she fucks him. Because, I don't know, I guess that's how you get good press. just random. I don't know. Linda Lovelace came off as such a slut in this movie, but I'm not going to slut shame because she took control of her sex and her power, and good for her. And then the film ends with some more, like, just bad racist jokes, and I'm checking out. But it ends with a shot of Linda Lovelace naked, and that's a good way to end the film. So, I don't know. I would vote for Linda Lovelace if she ran in 2024. I'd vote for any porn star. I'd vote for anyone that's running on not the main parties. I'm like, we need a viable third party. And if it takes some porn stars to make that happen, then so be it. I'm actually going to recommend this movie. As bad as it is, it's kind of got like an infectious though type of fun. It's, I mean, it's only appropriate that Mickey Dolenz was in this because it's like the Monkees if the Monkees was sexist and bad and just had lots of nudity. And I think that's kind of the key point. That's what I'm recommending the film on, is the vast, vast amounts of Linda Lovelace being naked. And sometimes that's all you need from a film. So hit the like and subscribe buttons and whatever. You know what? I don't even really check on like what you can actually do with this podcast. But, you know, whatever helps you keep listening, do that. Leave a comment if you can, or email me at velvetal@hotmail.com. Let me know what you think, any suggestions you have for future movies. Until then, Linda Lovelace is naked. And I want to thank the Living Brain Dead for providing the official theme song for Velvet Owl Watches Movies So You Don't Have to. It's called Never Fuck with Catgirls, and you can get it at livingbraindead.com, which you should totally do. They are not paying me for this, so I shield them out of my love for the music.